Thank you so much for making a date on the marketplace, and welcome back. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says the industry sector has recorded substantial growth, which is significantly propelling economic growth in the country. Addressing some foreign investors in London, he said there is a renewed investor confidence in the Ghanaian economy, which augurs well for foreign direct investments. The Vice President is leading a high-powered government delegation to the UK for a two-day business summit dubbed the Ghana Investment and Opportunities Summit. The aim is to explore investment means Ghana can explore to make the President's dream of Ghana beyond aid a reality.
The industry sector has seen substantial growth. The overall business environment is judged as favorable, and there is renewed investor confidence in the Ghanaian economy. Just last month, Standard & Poor's upgraded our sovereign credit rating from B- to B with a stable outlook on account of macroeconomic fundamentals and prudent public financial management. Additionally, the recently released 2017-2018 Global Competitiveness Index, measuring national competitiveness and the level of productivity, puts Ghana 3 points up at the same time, at a time where continental giants such as South Africa and Rwanda dropped 14 and 6 places respectively. There is no doubt that the new age of economic progress for Ghana is slowly emerging. For you as investors, I know that although such macroeconomic successes matter, you are equally interested in their sustainability and irreversibility. To entrench macroeconomic stability, government is putting in place measures to ensure irreversibility of the gains we have achieved so far. To this end, we are implementing structural measures to tackle some of the long-term structural issues. By the end of this year, and it will appear in the budget, we are going to be passing a fiscal responsibility law for the first time in our history.
So the Ghana High Commission in the UK, in partnership with the Ghana Investment Promotion Centre, GIPC, is organizing the Investment Summit. Let's now cross over to London, from where my colleague Seth Kwame Boateng is covering the summit and joins us live. Hello, Seth, and many thanks for joining us. Now, we understand almost all the top state investment gurus are taking part in this summit. Can you name them?
Yes, and they are basically trying to tell investors that Ghana is a good place to do business and that you have to come there because we have a stable economy. The macroeconomic fundamentals are very good. That's what they've been touting. Also, we have so many potentials in Ghana that investors could take advantage of. Before I tell you more, I have one of them with me here. He's from India, and he's attending the summit. He tells me that he's getting convinced to come to Ghana. Can you talk more? So tell me your full name.
Hi, my name is Nilesh Joshi. This is my second attempt to come to the summit. I'm quite impressed with officers are presenting everything, right?
What impressed you most?
The presentation. And there are opportunities in Ghana. I do believe that there are opportunities in Ghana. My concern is the cost of the living in Ghana. Second is law and order situation. Law and order situation is when government is giving us a land to do the mining for the gold or bauxite or anything, right? Locals are coming and bothering. You know, locals should be within the limit and they should allow us to do our business. We are coming there to do the business, not to face troubles.
So you are ready to go to Ghana and do business?
Yes, I'm ready. Tomorrow I will go. If I will get assurance that I will not get this type of the problems, I will fly to Ghana tomorrow.
Okay. So there are quite a number of you here. You are telling me you are convinced. I don't know where you were seated. Did you speak to any of them and how convinced were they?
Oh, most of the people are with me. They are all convinced, and they are all concerned is this only. The cost of the living and law and order situation in Ghana. You know, and government, I strongly believe whatever promises they are going to give, they are going to keep, right? But the behavior of the local inner areas, when we go for the mining, it is inner areas, it is not in Accra. We need support of the government to handle the locals.
Thank you very much. So that's one of the many investors willing to come back to Ghana as a result of the summit. And the second session is about taking place. Before that, the governor of Bank of Ghana was there to tell them about what they've done to help with the dollar. You know, it's not being the best form for some time now. He says they have been doing everything they could. What is left is what the superpowers, other nations are also doing. So that's what is affecting our economy in Ghana. But with time, we're going to achieve results. The GIPC boss, Yofi Grant, has also been cataloging a number of investment areas that he believes that investors can take advantage of. He mentioned bauxite, manganese. He mentioned how government has been able to deal with corruption and how government's ability to digitize the country is going to help end all bottlenecks. So the second session is about taking place, and I'm here to give you more reports.
Before you go into the second session, the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, earlier this morning in a keynote address, touted Ghana's business potential and positive investment climate. Now, this summit is also about Beyond Aid agenda. What has he been saying about this?
Okay, so he says Ghana is interested in alliances. Ghana is interested in partnership. Ghana isn't comfortable that people will just come and give us aid. Ghana is ready to develop. So come and partner Ghana so Ghana can develop. He says we can't rely on donors for a very long time. It's now time for Ghana to also make progress. So instead of giving us aid, why don't you help us develop? We have so many potentials. So come with your resources, help us develop, and it will be okay, so that you can also use your resources or your aid for other things. He said it's going to be difficult, but they are determined and believe that with determination they will be able to deal with it, and they are going the full haul and nothing will stop them.
For that update, Seth Kwame Boateng reporting from the UK's capital, London, where he's attending the ongoing Ghana-UK Investment and Opportunities Summit. Let's turn away from that now. And barring any last-minute changes, the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, is likely to present the 2019 budget to Parliament on November 15. This is what Joy Business has picked up from the Finance Ministry. But what could be the main focus of this budget as Mr. Ofori-Atta prepares to present his first post-IMF program budget? George Rafi has more in this report.
Also say the November 15 date is still subject to Parliament's approval. The Finance Ministry is currently engaging various interest groups and business associations in terms of seeking their inputs on the proposed revenue and some policy measures. The Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, would also be using the budget to give fine details on how he plans to raise the $50 billion century bond and the areas he would be advancing the funds to, as well as the project. We understand the 2019 budget will be heavy on programs aimed at supporting the government industrialization agenda, as well as those infrastructure projects outlined in the 2018 budget. It would also look at programs that would help improve the business environment. The 2019 budget may not be tied to those strict IMF targets and conditionalities. This is because this will be the first post-IMF budget since the MPP government assumed office, as it is expected that the current IMF program would end in April 2019. Sources say this would give government the room to come up with its own programs, which they believe could help fast-track the growth of the economy and create the required jobs. We also understand one area that has already stimulated a lot of debate is the proposed review of government's revenue measures, which may impact on its tax policy for next year. Sources say the Finance Minister is likely to propose about 61 billion Ghana cedis as the revenue target for next year, representing about 10 billion cedis jump from what was proposed in the 2018 budget. On the expenditure side, the 2019 budget could propose 71 billion Ghana cedis as the spending target for next year.
Now, Group Chief Finance Officer of Tullow Oil, Les Wood, has noted the international oil giant still has significant interest in oil blocks in Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire and Equatorial Guinea, despite current operations within the sub-region. He was speaking at the Ghana Stock Exchange's Facts Behind the Figures in Accra.
First is just to mention our non-op portfolio. So we're present in 3 other West African countries, Gabon, Equatorial Guinea and Cote d'Ivoire. Still very important parts of our portfolio. As you can see by the diagram here, we're producing a bit over 20,000 barrels of oil per day net to Tullow. And what we can see is there's still significant potential still to be able to keep it at those levels well into the medium term. So that's the purpose of that diagram. We do have long and established relationships both here but across West Africa just generally, and these are very, very important assets that will help underpin our kind of production growth going forward. Now you kind of look at these assets specifically, they are a bit more mature, but we do see still lots of potential to kind of grow our production in and around these existing assets. So as well as our activities here in Ghana, you should expect us to be focused on both developing our existing discovered resources, but also be looking to find new and alternative resources in and around our existing fields. So all in all, still a very important part of our portfolio.
Meanwhile, Tullow Oil forecasts significant improvement in oil production as being drilled of more wells before the end of the year. Tullow says it expects significant increase in crude production before the end of this year. This would be influenced by drilling of more oil wells in the Trinidad, Enyira and Ntomi oil fields. They should push its end-of-year daily production of 180,000 barrels of crude oil. Now, Managing Director of the Tullow, Kweku Ewotri, has been speaking to Joy Business after the firm took its turn at the Facts Behind the Figures series.
These FPSOs, Jubilee was rated at 120, 10 is rated at 80. And like most machines, I mean, think of it as a big machine, you rarely go above capacity. And if anything, you never hit 100%, you know, for all kinds of reasons. Think about the power sector, the plants that are rated. So, you know, whatever we do, Jubilee will probably run at 110,000 barrels a day at a maximum. 10 is a newer machine or a newer ship, and that will probably, we think we can hit 80,000. So put those two together, 180,000 is 190 is a sort of an ideal target. Now, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks we can hit 200,000, but on an average basis, we think 180 is a stretch target and it's achievable. Now, to your real part of the question, the key is to keep it at 180 for as long as possible. So I've explained that it's not going to be easy to go above it on an annualized basis, but the key is to really keep production flat for as long as possible, because what that means is that when you produce and you deplete, you replace. When you produce, you replace.
You think the third FPSO might be needed, looking at the way production is going, if things are going to pick up and there's talk about more areas to explore?
I think a third FPSO will be required if we are successful in the bidding round in some of the blocks that are further away from the FPSO. But we will need one if it's in our current area. But we would need one if, let's say, we get a block that is quite far away.
Let's now turn attention elsewhere to some business development in the country. And the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, will help students who wish to pursue research topics on social security, retirement planning, and other related areas. Director General of SNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tinkwang, announced this at the SNIT Info Shop at the WA campus of the University of Development Studies in the Upper West region. He said the forum is a clear demonstration of SNIT's contribution towards tertiary education and, more importantly, youth development and empowerment. Rafiq Salam reports from WA.
The forum held at the WA campus of the University for Development Studies is the last of the first phase of what is christened SNIT Info Shop. It is aimed at helping university students to appreciate how SNIT could help them to prepare, secure and take control of their lives before and beyond age 60 or in the event of permanent invalidity. Speaking on the theme, SNET, Your Security for Tomorrow, Director General of SNET, Dr. John Ofori-Tenkuran, underscored the importance of SNET, urging the students to join to enable them benefit from the scheme.
The primary objective of SNET, that I'm privileged to serve as Director General, is to ensure retirement income security for workers that contribute. Again, I said workers that contribute. Ours is a contributory scheme, and ensure that every worker who so does receives retirement-related benefits as and when they come due. Everyone is exposed to the contingencies of old age, as you know, and invalidity and death. It is therefore within this context that the SNET scheme becomes necessary.
Dr. Tenkuran announced a number of programs they intend to embark on to support university students who will be pursuing research topics on social security, retirement planning, and other related areas.
As part of the way to still create awareness about social security, we'll provide some limited support to final year students who may even want to go and do a project work. And if that project work impacts social security and retirement planning, then we can offer some form of support to help them carry out that research.
Now to the Ashanti region, the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union is questioning government's silence on Social Security and National Insurance Trust contribution by NAPCO beneficiaries. The concern comes just after President Akufo-Addo ushered 100,000 recruits into the scheme last Wednesday. Deputy General Secretary in charge of operations, Morgan Ayawene, wants government to take a second look at the potential breach of the law. He spoke at the annual general meeting of the Ashanti region chapter of the ICU in Kumasi. Prince Apia reports.
It was the last regional meeting of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union. Members from various affiliate groups met to take stock of the past year and plan for 2019. Many labor issues were discussed, together with the banking crisis currently unfolding in Ghana. Deputy General Secretary of ICU in charge of operations, Morgan Ayawene, says government risks losing money if the recruits of the NAPCO program are also exempted from paying income tax.
How will government deal with the important issue of their social security contribution to SNET? And are they going to be exempted from paying income tax? Because there is an attempt to widen the income tax net. So if these people, young graduates, are being given 700 Ghana cedis, and we are told that they are going to be working for 3 years. So you cannot be working for 3 years when nothing is being done about your social security contributions. Because it's going to affect your terminal benefits when you go on pension. So these are the issues that we believe government in the coming days should answer, particularly the one that has to do with income tax payments, so that there will not be any reason for anybody to see that government is rather helping to widen the gap.
Mr. Ayawene says government's industrialization drive, one district, one factory, which according to him is taking too long to start, should not remain on paper. Simon Baba Alute is the Industrial Relations Officer of ICU in the Ashanti region. He also enumerated a resolution accepted by the General Assembly after the meeting.
That the rising cost of petroleum products is eroding the salaries and the incomes we earn. And so government should go the extra mile to make sure that petroleum products do not impact on us negatively as workers. We are calling on the tripartite. The tripartite is made up of government, employers, and the labor. And so we are calling for some amendments to some sections of the Labor Act, because some acts, sections of the acts are very inimical to the survival of workers. And so employers tend to exploit that and make our members go worse.
Prince Apia reporting.
The General Agric Workers Union GAU is calling for a review of the much talked about Plant Breeders Bill before it is presented back to Parliament to be passed into law. So far, some civil society organizations have called for a unique bill that supports the interests of farmers against genetically modified organisms. Speaking to Joy Business, General Secretary of GAU, Edward Karawe, argued the Plant Breeders Bill must not serve the interests of international players.
You have to ask the bill in whose interest it is seeking to serve. Ghana belongs to a number of protocols or global communities and so on. And some of these are pushed on us that you must have this type of bills. Now, when you have the bill, is it a bill that is motivated from internal needs of the country, or it is done to serve the global interest because we think that we are belong to the global community? You can only know that by looking at the content of the bill, and some of the content of the bill has some inimical, clauses which make the bill not favorable for us, and it is those parts of the bill that needs to be reformed, where the bill thinks that no national law should be superior to what is in the bill. That by itself technically may be wrong, because there's no law that is supposed to be superior to the Constitution of Ghana. However, once you link up with the international community and they bought into.
And that's all we have for you in this edition of The Marketplace. Thanks so much for being with me. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Join me again, same time tomorrow. Good afternoon.